All right, our last presentation for this evening. Please come on up, Mr. Bryant with Neumann Ventures. Here, we're gonna get this out of your way. You're gonna do it like this.
I am.
And then if you want to do this, this is the one you pointed that.
Yeah, I can't use that. I'd like to. Yeah.
Here, we'll put it right here.
Thank you so
Front.
much. All right. Wonderful. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Neumann Ventures, and we are here looking for a partner that's going to help us develop, market, and hopefully make some money off a patent we have. Now, this patent is for a heat exchanging handguard. It's designed to be affixed to the military M4, M16, or a domestic AR-15, civilian AR-15 rifle. Now, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not a gun enthusiast. I have not probably touched a gun since I was in Boy Scouts, and that was about 40 years ago. But what I was really taken by this project, there's a couple reasons. One, it's a really ingenious invention, and two, there's a really compelling story surrounding the inventor. So some of you might have known Brad Bybee. He was the director of marketing and sales for Keen Energy. But what you might not have known is that he was pouring his heart and soul into this invention in his after hours. Unfortunately, he was not able to see it to its completion. So Brad went to go see his doctor in the fall of 2016, and he went in because he had stomach pain, and he left with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. So over the course of the next 12 months, he fought bravely, but in the end, he also had to plan, and to plan for the future of his wife and his 2 small children. And part of that planning was actually entering into a partnership with Neumann Ventures to be able to push forward this product. Now, I'm here because of that, and I'd really like to explain to you what this product is. I hope everybody understands it, but more so, I really want to just honor his memory and the fact that what he's done. So, moving on, Brad saw a issue with this is a terrible picture, I apologize, with barrel overheating. So barrel overheating will happen when you have automatic gunfire, and it happens really fast, and it can cause a gun to fail, it can cause it to explode, all kinds of bad stuff can happen. As a result, if you're a soldier in a situation, on the flip side, if you're able to shoot your gun longer, faster, you have a tactical advantage. In addition to this, we're also looking at putting together a product that's going to be aesthetically pleasing, something that's going to help a sports shooter. They'll be able to have less inconvenience of having a blazing hot rifle to deal with. So how does it work? Well, it uses all 3 forms of heat exchange. So diving right in, here we have first look at the product. Down here is the barrel nut. So the barrel nut is what attaches the rifle to the rest of the gun. Our barrel nut is made of aluminum. So aluminum's a great conductor of heat energy. So because of that, we have the heat will be kind of traveled and sucked down into the barrel nut, so long as that nut stays cooler than the rest of the rifle barrel. So the way we keep it cool is by putting that barrel nut inside a cooling unit, and that unit has this heat sink in there. So the heat sink operates on the principle that the more surface area you have, the more heat will radiate away. So it has all these fins to increase the surface area. And that's our second form of heat exchange, it's radiant. So far it's pretty mundane, but it gets interesting here. We have a thermoelectric generator. Now, what that does is actually, it's an interesting device that generates electric power through heat. Basically, what happens is different materials will react differently when they're placed on a hot surface, particularly their electrons. And if you have a hot surface and the right materials, you can get electric current. So that current powers a fan, and those fans then push air across the heat sink, which is convection, which is the third form of heat exchange, which really increases the way it works. So does it work? So we had a study performed. George Contis, he was on the development team. He was the director of the development team that invented the M16, very, very good credentials. So he had this performed a study, and it was a thermal analysis. What they did is they formed a model of an M4 barrel after it shot 280 rounds. It gets really hot. So that's the top curve here. The second curve is our product when it's attached to the rifle when it only has 5 cubic feet per meter of air pushed through, which is a very small amount that can be done like with little PC fans in old PCs that was blowing in there. So as a result, at the hottest point in the barrel went from nearly 1,400 degrees down to about 1,000. So it's a pretty good improvement. Now, we need to make improvements on that further, but we have an excellent start. So the consumer market, we have 10 million AR-15s in the country. It's the most popular gun that's out there. People love to accessorize it. Domestic military market, we have 5 million M4s and M16 rifles. Government buys in bulk, so it's a great client to have. And then what we're looking for is, I mean, ideally somebody that's going to be involved in day-to-day operations can help with funding, but we're open to any type of discussion about what you want to do with us. And I didn't know how to end this slideshow, and I wanted to get this last slide in, and I'm not above trading in the currency of cute kids. So these are his two little kids. They're absolutely adorable, and I guess I'm ready for some questions. Yeah.
How durable is that for out in the field?
I honestly, I'd love to be able to answer that that question again. As coming into it, I've only been involved for a couple weeks. I can't tell you too much about the actual durability of it, but what I can say is there's no batteries. There's no the only moving part is going to be the fans. Okay, and I mean, and obviously it's still in its creation stages. Adding some different type of air exchange is possible. The fundamentals are that we're going to be using the heat of the barrel to generate electricity to cool the.
This is an aftermarket product?
So yes, absolutely. So people on the consumer end, people love to add like accessories. They're very customizable. People buy a new barrel, buy a new trigger. There's just a lot of that stuff that happens. This for the consumer would be in that. Now, for the military, it would obviously, there's a possibility it could be like installed on the front end because it's going to be offering this heating of, this cooling of the hot barrel. So there's three of you, whomever.
I was wondering, have you thought about like DoD grants and things like that for funding sources?
That's a wonderful idea, and we'll take note of it. We're absolutely here to start a dialogue, so thank you so much. Yeah.
So, what do you want?
Absolutely. What we're looking for is for somebody to come in and be able to help manage this idea. Now, whether that takes the form of a joint venture, whether that takes the form of licensing this patent, or whether it takes the form of an outright sale, everything's on the table. So really what we're trying to do is get this product to market one way or another.
Right now, what is the price range you're looking at for per unit?
You know, we have not got to the prototype stage. So what we have is a patent, and we have we have a proof of concept study. So we know it's going to work, and we know that that we can do all these things. To get the actual the prototype done, we do have some idea of what that's going to cost, but that would be the next step. You know, whether that would be carried on with us in conjunction with somebody or just by somebody else that purchases the patent is unknown. So that model that we showed you, that's 280 rounds where it gets up to 1,400 degrees. That can be done in about 20 seconds. Very, very fast. Yeah, I was shocked at how that worked. Yes, sir.
How heavy is it?
That's a great question. Again, we haven't made a prototype. There's tons of handguards out there, though. This is not that different structurally from the handguards that are out there, which are totally manageable. In terms of adding in the thermoelectric generators, those are not extremely heavy. They're small devices. So I can't imagine it's going to be more than a few ounces in addition to like a normal handguard that's on the market.
How much does 280 rounds weigh?
That's a great question. In a clip, I'm not sure. Honestly, like I said, I have very little background knowledge of firearms, and so this is all new to me. So, okay, I'm sorry.
Is that patent limited to the M4 with the 5.56?
No, it is. Yes, it is the patent is for heat exchange handguard assembly.
Have you done studies with the 249, 240, or 50 cal?
No, we have not. Again, that's where we're looking to find somebody to jump in, is to help us get to that point, right? So that we can be able to do more expanded studies. We have some options. There's studies that are going to be looking at barrel dilation, which the barrel gets dilated when it gets hot, so it's going to affect accuracy. That's also something that we'd like to study to see how much we affect that dilation of the barrel. Also, there's a possibility of having a study with a more, not so much a steady state study, but actually watching the barrel heat up and come down. These are all options that cost money, though.
How did you perform the study with 200 rounds of M4?
That was actually based off a Army study. They took that data from an Army study. The Army was studying the effects of heat on the M4. Mr. Contis had he actually taught me everything that I know right now. Has an amazing amount of data. He's been doing this type of research and this type of development for a very long time.
So if the Army did this study, did they conclude that there was a problem that wouldn't solve? Or
That-
did they just look within the framework of
That's a great question. At the end of the day, the Army has a rifle that they use, right? And it's operating within specific specs. That's not to say when presented with a simple, safe solution that's going to increase the amount of rate of fire. Soldiers walk around with an extra barrel. They actually have 2 barrels. And to be able to make a product that's lighter than that, so you're reducing the load and actually increasing the amount of shots that can be fired, it's a compelling story. All right. Thank you.